Hello, my name is Jason Boyle, and I'm an architect based in the UK. And my mission is to tackle some of the issues facing students of architecture and architects anywhere in the world, and to talk about some of the topics that people might not want to talk about. This is the first of two videos where I'm talking with Mamuna Rashid, and we're talking about the topic of being bullied. And this goes from early in her career and her education, through college, and into university where she's currently studying architecture. The topic is sensitive in nature, but both I and Mamuna hope that this will highlight the impact that bullying can have on your mental health. I really thank Mamuna for agreeing to share her story, and we have had 2 long conversations before recording these videos to agree the questions and also to agree what you now see in front of you. So let me introduce you to Mamuna. Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. And today is a really, I guess it's quite a special day for me just to be talking about a particular topic that doesn't really get talked about. I have with me Mamuna Rashid, and we're going to be discussing bullying within architecture and architecture education. Would you just like to give me a brief introduction of yourself, Mamuna?
Hi Jason, thank you for having me on your platform. I think it's a very important topic that we need to discuss about, and I hope this conversation might be a survival guide to someone else, because I know seeing other people's story and hearing other people's story has been my survival guide. I'm Mamuna. I'm currently doing my Year 2 Part 1 in Oxford School of Architecture, Oxford Brookes University, and I've been trying to complete my degree for the past 8 years now. And it's been a painstakingly long journey, so I hope this conversation will give you a bit more insight as to why it has taken me so long. And yeah, thank you for having me, Jason.
Thank you. What a wonderful introduction. No, it's. I think you're absolutely right, and I think as we go through the questions, I really want to ask you if people get to hear your story, and it's a very important story, and there's reasons why it's taken you quite some time to get to this point. So the first question I have, and we'll get right in there with. I just want you to describe the first period of bullying when it started at school. I believe it was year 5, and you were labelled again as well, labelled as a failure as you were not doing well in your studies. And then you went through to year 6, and we've had this chat before this interview, and you failed your year 6. And again, you were labelled a failure. And so could you also tell me the story of Abdubai, who fails in class and it took him 30 years to pass his year? Because I think this is very relevant to the situation that you've experienced in a small way.
I mean, from a very young age, I've been experiencing bullying as young as 8. And it has been sort of progressively getting worse over the years. And my education in Bangladesh, the school was Anand school in my home town, which was Sylhet. And in year 5, so we were reading this story about this boy, a 13-year-old boy trying to sort of pass his year 7 for the past 30 years. There was a point in his life where he has a son, and then he's in the same year as his son, and he goes and says to himself, I have to be a good example for my son. I have to prove that I can pass it. And he wasn't able to. He doesn't. And then it took him more time, and then after 30 years, he was finally able to pass the year, and immediately he passed away. So he and a similar story occurred with me as well, because when I failed year six, I was in the same year with my younger sister, so I had to prove to myself that I had to pass, and I was compared a lot of the times with my peers, and also with my sisters, that I need to sort of pass, and I'm not good enough in my studies and everything. As as a young I've been extremely sort of outspoken about my about being bullied. So I would stand up. I've always been a rebel, and I've always sort of I don't know if punched boys and everything, and it's for bullying me. And I was constantly gaslit by my peers and by my um, teachers and principals, and that's not the case. I'm the one who's aggravating the situation, even though there's a pack of boys just coming at me. Um, and yeah, and so that was the circumstance in year six, and I passed it, and I passed my year seven. And in year seven, I remember I questioned one of my tutors as to why I failed in this paper, having the same answers as my classmate. And she just threw me across the room. I nearly hit my head on a corner of a table. No one stood up for me, and no one ever stood up even then. And and do you mind? I was only 12, 13, and my sisters were even younger than that. They were 11 and 9. And so it wouldn't make, yeah, we just were kids back then. And I failed again in year 8 when the bullying, I lost all my friends the minute I failed. And that sort of um, put a very big strain on my mental health, because I first experienced depression around year 6 when I was only 13 years old. Actually, yeah, 13 years old. When I was 13 years old. Yeah.
Yeah, there were a few incidents that you've experienced in our conversation we had before this. You know, there was you were chased into a girl's bathroom, I think,
Yeah.
in year six. Yeah, can you just describe that one? There were a few incidents. Yeah.
So what happened was, um, there there's there's a few boys that I don't get along with. I didn't get along with much, and we used to fight a lot. And at that point, I remember um, this person was trying to sort of ignite a fight with me, and in turn, I sort of kicked him, and then he um, came back running with a compass, and then I was running across the girls' bathroom. He was coming up like this, and then he's so angry, and so full of rage, and and I was a very short-tempered kid as well as a young kid, because I was surrounded by a lot of anger and hate within my school. Um, so I would in turn be very aggressive about standing up for myself and fighting back. So I had to lock myself in the girls' bathroom for, I think, for an hour or two, and none of the teachers were looking for me. None of the students or anyone came to save me. I was just there in the toilet, just um, yeah, just in absolute fear. And then had to come out, and then I was back in there, and I could just feel um, the the amount of hate. Just it was just a room full of um, hate, really, and it was just the entire school um, just um, did everything in its power um, to um, yeah, just to keep conforming this sort of behavior.
And yeah, and there were other incidents as well. You know, you were spat on, and you were thrown down the
Yeah,
stairs in your
yeah.
school as well. I mean,
Um, those are just a
it's
few. Yeah.
so and then so that was that the first time you were essentially labelled as a failure, by I guess teachers who were supposed to be
No,
educated.
I experienced first form of failure, which shockingly was in kindergarten too. I remember I was apparently supposed to be failed then. I was supposed to be failed in year three, supposed to be failed in year five, and then eventually I was failed in year six. So my education at the time was, um, we have very sort of, it's a very, it's a very sort of almost prestigious kind of school in Bangladesh. It's looked upon very highly, and everyone's all sort of um, majoring in STEM subjects and all of that. And art was never seen as a subject of choice and as a subject of high regard, for that matter. And I was very into art, and I would remember just building models. Like I remember I built a royal dance hall, and it was just red velvet and everything in a box. And then we made this Halloween ghost town. So it was very architectural, starting from a very young age, from as young as year three, as young as year four, and I did animation as in year five, and all of that. Yeah, it was just never sort of. It was looked down upon. Right now, apparently, the school sort of pays more attention in the art section, but now, but I mean, when before, they didn't, and it was very much, if you're not good in economics, if you're not good in accounting, physics, science, maths, English, history, geography, and all of that, you're a failure and you will fail. And yeah, I tried extremely hard at that time. I was sort of, um, I mean, I didn't know that I had learning difficulties, and it was seen as someone, just not academic academically inclined, or not smart. And um, yeah, I just had to, um, yeah, I just needed to be taught in a different way. And at that time, I was not diagnosed with dyslexia or anything. Even going to college, I wasn't, and even university, I wasn't until recently. Um, it's still in the process of being diagnosed, but I do have a blue card that says I am potentially dyslexic. Yeah, as to why yeah.
The next question I have that follows on, I think in your kind of story is I think you referenced it yourself. You've got very strong opinions, and you stood up for yourself, which I commend you for. Um, but you also have a loving and supportive family. But I really want to draw your attention to what happened on the top of your three-story home terrace, and having and just bearing in mind the context that you do have a strong and loving, supporting family. And can you just tell us what happened?
Year six, when I failed it for the first time. Um, at that time, yeah, the bullying was skyrocketed. It was, I remember my things being thrown around across the hallway, things being broken, being screamed at, shouted at, um, and yeah, not and the bullying was so intensified. I tried my absolute best. I still remember the day we were sitting in the exam room, um, and yeah, there are a few students over there. They were also cheating as well. So we were and I instead got in trouble for someone else being cheating, uh, someone else cheating, and I remember that I tried so hard to do well in that exam, and yet I still failed. I was not. I've yeah, and after I failed, when before going back into repeating my year six, I remember my best friend at the time. She came to see me, and my mum was there. And we were in my room, and my mum was telling her, um, "Oh, look, what has she done? Why, what are we gonna do? She failed. It's not a big deal, but what are we gonna do? How is this gonna? What's from here? Because it was a um, yeah, it was just the first thing in our family, the first time ever we failed in education. Um, and so at that time I knew, so I felt like it was the end of everything, because I was in such a dark place in my life. Um, I just thought I lost everything, because lost all my friends. I mean, friends they were not, because
Yeah,
um,
so-called friends.
yeah, because all of them, it was just all name basis friends. No one ever was there. Even when I was being bullied, no one really stood up for me. So um, yeah, so I myself, I went up to the third floor on the terrace. So back home we have sort of this open rooftop that you can go up and obviously look over and everything, look over the views and whatnot. So it was very high up, and yeah, I just decided to just end my pain, um, jumping off. And I was only 13 years old then, and I remember um, someone came up to the terrace to hang some clothes up. And they were like, "Oh, what are you doing?" Because I was such a mischievous kid, always being naughty and rebellious, and up to no good. And they thought I was being naughty. No one sort of realised that there was something much more dark and sinister going on. Um, that I was planning to end it all. So I just couldn't, because I was stopped. Yeah, and thankfully, um, thank God that happened, because yeah, otherwise I won't be here today.
No, no, thank you for sharing. Um, that must be really difficult to talk about that. Okay, and then so you came back to the UK in 2011 and left left that all behind you in a sense, and you moved to Wimbledon in London. Um, so my question is, how did things change? Did this follow you with? Did it follow it with you, or was it a complete a new fresh start, new country? How was life at school when you came to England?
Um, as mentioned previously, so when I was a kid, 6 months old, we moved back to the UK. I did until year one, so until 2005, and then we moved back home. Um, as my dad decided, so we should learn about the culture and learn more about our home, where we're from. So we moved back, and I had my education there for 11 years. And then when I failed my year eight, that's when it happened. Sort of, okay, well, failed again. What now? You know, because that school has sort of went to every limit, sort of, and um, in terms of when I failed year six, the bullying reduced, because obviously I was in my own bubble at that time. I was not interacting with anyone. I didn't have any friends. I didn't want to make friends, because I was in the same year as my sister. Um, So I didn't want it to feel like I'm stealing her friends. So I, in turn, was just in my own for two and a half years, and I just became very timid and very sort of closed off. And my mum at the time decided, okay, we should, nothing related to my failing, but decided this is the time because we're at an age that we can go into our GCSE, we can go and do our A levels and get to university. So my mum decided, okay, we should move back to the UK, and this is it. We're moving, and within a month, we in summer 2011 we decided to move, and then I went to my college, Southwest Academy. Um, it it was with the hope that it's a fresh start, it's a new slate, and nothing will follow me with that. But as with my GCSE, it went amazingly. I did my GCSE in 6 months, and I passed everything, and I got really, really good grades. Never thought I would ever sort of be able to accomplish that, you know. And that was one of the biggest milestones. I mean, um, we, I had my, um, I still have one of my best friends from there as well, from the GCSE, and and from A level as well. Um, yeah, so it was with the hope that it would be a fresh start, but I guess it followed me in creeping up to the end of A level, because I remember I was starting to sort of doubt myself again, that I won't be able to complete my A level, even though I got a distinction, and I got A's and B's and C, and so yeah, it was just a lot of um, a lot of working I had to do for myself, that um, I don't believe in the naysayers really. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that I mean, that transition and coming into back, back to the UK, and then passing your GCSEs and doing so well, and then going into your A levels, because you've got to get a certain level and grades to do A levels, and I just want to maybe talk about a particular um, experience when you were doing your in art and design, and what a particular tutor said to you, and trying to understand why that person said that to you. Maybe if you can just tell us about that experience.
Of course. Um, so it was the towards the end of my A levels, so we're applying for universities and getting our predicted grades and all of that. Um, so it was towards the end of the end of beginning of the semester. We were doing our project, and my tutor decided to tell me that I was going to fail, even though my predicted grade was distinction star, and I was told that I was going to fail. So that gave me a complete sort of, I went back to the mode that I was back home, that I'm gonna fail again, and this is gonna happen again, and um, it cannot happen again because it's just yeah. So I remember the first time. So he was sort of shouting at me that, oh, you're gonna fail, you're not gonna pass this, and I thought, this is the end of my dream. I'm not gonna get into architecture school. Um, so we went outside, um, outside the classroom, and then he was sort of again with high voice and high tone shouting at me, and I just sort of broke down, and I was like all red and puffed up, and I was like standing up for myself. No, I'm not going to, because you said I'm gonna get this grade, and you cannot tell me that I'm not, because clearly my work shows that I am going to pass it, let alone get a distinction or distinction star. Um, and and I remember when we went back, and then everyone in the classroom stood up for me. That was the first time ever I felt solidarity, um, and standing up against bullying for me, and that was an exhilarating experience. And I remember my best friend from there. Everyone, we all went away, and then she talked with the tutor and said, "What you did was wrong, and you have no right of saying that because you're just you. There was no need for you to instigate that at all." Um, and yeah, I remember it was, and even still today, my best friend, she still she talks about it to me, and she's like, "Oh, remember when that happened?" And I'm like, "Yeah."
Why do you think
Yeah.
that person said this? I mean, where did it come from? I mean, you may not never know, you may never find out, but it must have come from somewhere. Yeah.
I can only make assumption, and probably it was to do with um, just probably hated my guts, maybe, or just didn't like my work, or just thought, because that's what happens a lot in the creative field. We become very, um, I'm not sure if I jealous, maybe, or just not feeling that, just comparing yourself and just seeing yourself, projecting yourself into someone else, I suppose. Um,
You got through your GCSEs and you were just about to really get through your A levels, and then this happens. I mean, that must have just really set the alarm bells ringing in, just as you're about to complete your A levels. Um, you know, I'm just so sorry that happened.
That's when I started to feel like my confidence was a bit deteriorating at the time. Um, and I was an extremely determined sort of person, and I still am. I mean, I'm still continuing with my degree, and even to this day, my my best friend reminds me that how determined I was, and how everyone I was still doing my project, and there was nothing there for anyone to see. Everyone thought I was so behind, and then suddenly it was boom, like, okay, where did that come from? Where did this When did you do this project? It was like, but and that's the thing, people think that people make this assumption that you're a failing student because you're not portraying to the world that you're so amazing, or you're doing so well, and you're doing so many things, or you have so many projects or awards and all of that. People think that you're failing course, um, and that's what was there. And then I remember it was everyone was shocked when they saw my project, that you have a project. Like, we thought you didn't, you're still in the process of making one, sketching them, and still drawing them. um
No, I was just thinking that's when you kind of really think that people make lots of assumptions about people, without really understanding that person, and to make statements, bold statements like, you're gonna fail before you've even got to that end point. I think there's other ways you can engage with the student, rather than using this this very toxic language. So you applied to university, in a to study architecture, well, interior architecture to be specific, a well-known London university, um, and they were requiring 3 A's or 2 A's and a B, to study architecture, and you kind of thought that maybe you wouldn't get in, and you did get in, and I just want to go back. Can you go back to this time and ask, did you have any further incidents with the tutors now that you're at university? Because you had that incident at college when you were studying for your A levels. But just describe what happened to you when you were studying at this university in London?
Yeah, thank you for the question. It was 2014 when I graduated from my A-levels, and I was attending these architecture conferences, and so I went to these 4 conferences and open days and built conference and construction conferences, and I would see this very tutor that was going to interview me, not knowing that this person was going to interview me, and she sort of expressed her excitement that I was always bumping into her, and she was saying, "Oh, you seem so determined and so passionate about what you want to do, and you want to go and study interior architecture or architecture." My dream to become an architect was as little as 10 years old, and I suppose that was a brilliant way for me to sort of, I guess, showcase my interest to them. And when I went to the interview, she was quite she was impressed, but also questioning. Okay, can you do this? Can you make this? So, I mean, there were there has been always cases where people have questioned my expertise or questioned my knowledge, and it's this idea of being imposter syndrome and thinking that I don't have those skills, even though I have the proof and I've showed them that I do. When I went back into when I joined the university, within the first week, this very teacher that I was looking up to in the very and I applied for Oxford Brookes and the university in London, and so I went for the London one because I was not ready at the time to move to another city, and I didn't apply for architecture because I thought I was not going to get in because of the grades. At the time, it was predicted that I was going to get this grade, but yeah, so that's the reason why I went for interior architecture, the next best thing. In the first week, I experienced bullying from this very person that I looked up to. So it was the first week of my interior architecture sort of practical classes, and I was pulled up in front of the class, in front of my peers, and I think a few tutors as well, being 5 foot. And another guy who was 6'4", we were pulled up in front of the class and to explain the scale of the architectural ruler, and I was sort of absolutely flabbergasted. I was feeling so. I don't even know. I felt so small at the time because my height was targeted, and I never had a height insecurity. Never thought I was short. Because going from my hometown, we're all more or less, reasonable, similar height. Being 5 foot, it just to demonstrate what a human scale is in a model, to demonstrate that this is what a big 1 to 50 looks like, and this is what 1 to 100 looks like, and and yeah, it was an extremely daunting experience, and the very person I trusted that would look after me, because we met prior to our interview, prior to being in the class, and having that trust taken away so quickly, I think that was the beginning of me sort of crumbling away, and just feeling like, well, here we go. There's the start of what I've escaped from Bangladesh, and it starts again here, because I remember at the time the tutor was also saying to students, "Oh, we don't care about if you're going to cry at us, if you're going to tell us that you're unwell or you're struggling, we're not going to care. No tears is going to work on us. And I was shocked. It was not to me, it was to someone else. And that it was the very person who interviewed me. And I was just thinking, wow, is this how it's going to be? And it just kept on deteriorating over the year, and I just started to lose myself.
I just wondered, when that happened, because I think that's pretty horrific, actually. Using you as the kind of as a reference to scale and proportion. What were the other students that were watching this? Were there any reactions that you got?
No, I think it was just a regular uni day. Um, and it's just not even that. Even the whole year, I had to change my name because my name was too difficult for people to pronounce. It has um, too many vowels, too many syllables, and I was for a year known as Annie, and not as Mamuna. And my nickname, and my nickname for I have a nickname called Anisha, and my relatives call me Anni, which is the Bengali version of Annie. So I was, and that would be my sort of outside name. And for a whole year, I was few of my class. I have some classmates obviously who call me Mamuna, but those who didn't, they called me Annie because they found my name too difficult to pronounce, and completely changed my name and my identity. Um, yeah, so it was a lot of. I've started, yeah, my entire sort of essence started to completely strip away, and I started to lose myself even more and more. Um, it's not to say that I didn't have tutors who supported me there. Towards the end, I did have two tutors who, one of the tutors was super strict, and we thought she was so scary. But yeah, she was the one who was supportive. Um, Helped me with submitting my work and everything. Um, and my architecture friends are from that university, so needless to say that um, even though there had been terrible experiences, my friends, my architecture friends, are from there.
So this university in London's a very well known university. We're not going to name it, but how did you do, having that experience in front of all your peers and fellow students, do you believe that led to the students, your fellow students, treating you differently, or was it purely just that particular tutor?
No, it's just like various occasions here and there that sort of um, it's just certain sort of the person sort of um, what I thought this person was completely changed the minute I joined university. So it was almost like someone was wearing a mask, and they were lovely and kind to you, and then suddenly they're not. So it was almost like a reality check for me. It's like, how can someone change so fast, so quickly? And that's the very reason I joined the university, because I thought, oh my god, I have this support. I have someone who actually believes in me, who actually who sees that I have potential, you know. And for that to be completely diminished within the first few weeks of joining the university was a big hit for me, and it was almost too hard to believe. Um, but my peers also, because I stopped again, I sort of too I it was the survival sort of skill, flight or fight, and I chose flight. I would run away and completely, because it was not the same environment as back home. I'm not able to sort of go in and punch people and, you know, say that you're wronging me, you know, and you can't do this and everything. And I was much more timid back then, because I was still, I just did not stand up as much as I do in my current university. With my peers, I stopped attending my classes. I stopped going to university. People saw less of me. They immediately, and it's across the board. You know, the minute you don't attend, you're seen as a terrible student. You're seen as a student who does not care about their degree, who does not care about the education, and does not care about them, not socializing, not interacting, not being part of the gossip, you know, not being part of the up and coming popularity happening in the university. And I would not attend because I was just so terrified, because at the time my old wounds were, you know, um, again opened, because I trusted someone and I thought this would be a new start, and I'm gonna get my dream, and I'm gonna become an architect, you know, interior architect at the time. So my peers, I suddenly, no one was talking to me, no one wanted to hang out with me, no one wanted to, because I was seen as this person who's gonna fail and who's gonna have a negative effect on their education. And I've always had that sort of in me, that, you know, it's been instigated in me from a very young age that if you have any essence of failure, no one wants to associate with you, because that failure is going to be injected in them and they're gonna fail, you know, and they wouldn't want to hang out with you because, you know, they don't want to ruin their reputation, whatever that is. And I lost all the friends at the time, and when I left university, um, I didn't tell anyone that I was leaving the university. I didn't tell any of my friends at the time, and I just thought, you know, I'm not going to let anyone know because I'm just starting. What if I fail again? What if I go in this university and then I fail, and then I tell them, oh, you failed, you know, or you change university, but I thought you know, you're starting something new. So I didn't tell anyone that until it's finalized, until I've got the place in Oxford Brookes University, until I've, you know, moved there, until I've sort of settled in, started my first week, or finished my first month. I'm not going to tell anyone that it's actually happened, you know, because I thought to myself, you know, I'm not going to let anyone know until it's actually made in reality. So at the time, my friends at the time, you know, who I was in contact with, I didn't tell anyone I was leaving university. They became very upset and very sad. Like, why didn't you let us know? Some were more easy to, more understandable than others, you know. And that's how I still have those friends, because they were able to support me through that and empathize that, you know, I moved for a reason, because I was bullied as well. I just did not wanted to tell anyone, and when I did, they were very, oh, okay, I understand, you know, and we thought you disappeared completely. Um, so yeah, and for me, Oxford Brookes felt like a new start, and I gave a new application in, and at the time it was one of the they were really impressed with my portfolio, and they were immediately saying, okay, come and give the interview. And I gave the interview, and the interview, as in on phone, and that was about it. And I was like, was it that easy? All this time, I was just getting in my own way. Was it that easy for me to actually get in? And I was thinking I'm not going to go in because it had to be the exact grade they're asking for. You know, they were asking for triple A's, they were asking for double A, A star, A, and B, for what I can remember 7-8 years ago. Yeah, so I thought there's no way on earth that I'm going to get those grades, so there's no point of applying for it, because I did get a distinction star, I did
The
get
foundations were
A's, I
there,
did
yeah.
get a B, so it was all there. So I applied for it, and then I thought, oh my god, okay, clean slate. I don't have to worry about my previous degree. I don't have to worry about anything. Start off right now, pass it, do it well. You can get a first class. You can get because it just didn't matter because It was a new start, you know.
New slate, a new start. You felt very happy during the interview. Everything looked great, and yeah, just kind of tell us all what happened.
So even my family was extremely supportive because going, you know, finishing my interior architecture year one, and then my family was extremely supportive because I suddenly decided, no, I'm going to go to Oxford Brookes University. I'm going to move to Oxford. I'm going to apply for it because this is this is my dream. I want to do architecture, not interior architecture, not anything else. This is has always been my dream, and I'm going to go. And yeah, it was just without without any hesitation, my family supported me, moving to another city, um, and settling there and starting my education. So um, it was going. I felt like it was a new hope. It was I can forget about everything, start a new, complete Mamuna. New Mamuna. I'm just like, I forget about what happened, forget about everything that's happened. No one needs to know what happened. Um, yeah. Uh, my first year I passed it. That was really good. Everything felt like okay. Um, it's getting there. I'm getting there. It was, but there was obviously quite a bit of bullying in my first year, which led on to second year, um, um, more sort of persistent bullying and persistent hearing people's comments, listening to what their opinions were about me, and believing in those opinions,